Hello and welcome to our August Metastatic Breast Cancer podcast as we continue our journey through my book, Meditation with Intention, Quick and Easy Ways to Create Lasting Peace, with foreword by Dr. Sadia Khan, who is the medical director of our breast cancer survivorship program and the director of our integrative breast cancer program at Hoag. And this month, we will focus on Intention 3, I am not my thoughts. In this chapter, we will explore the power of our thoughts to shape our reality. We will also outline accessible ways in which you can start bidding farewell to your negative thoughts once and for all. And one of the most important aspects of this is to learn to let go of the inner critic. I myself have come to realize through the practices of meditation and mindfulness that the inner judge and harsh critic of others and myself serves no place in my mind or life any longer. My new path of self-love and self-awareness started to replace the harsh inner critic. Old habits die hard, though, and I am vigilant, as it doesn't take much for a negative thought to pop up, and then the judgment kicks in, leading you down the endless rabbit hole. You can successfully begin to start changing your internal negative narrative by offering yourself 3 things that are an integral part of a daily mindfulness practice. The first is self-love. The second is compassion. And the third is non-judgment. Through these mindfulness practices, I have effectively learned to slow down my mind and adopt a more serene and non-judgmental outlook. This new attitude is filled with greater love and compassion toward myself and others through the ups and downs of my daily life. These are very useful tools to navigate ways in which to stop the constant cascading thoughts, often negative ones, from arising. There have been times in our lives when we could be in the most idyllic place, that beach in the Bahamas or watching that sunset in Hawaii, yet regardless of our amazing location, we cannot escape from ourselves and our thoughts. It really doesn't matter where we are if we are chained to living in the prison of our own minds, with or without the exotic Instagram-worthy backdrop. We have more than 60,000 thoughts every day. No wonder we feel anxious and like we live captive in the prison of our own minds. Our thoughts are repetitive and often negative, which feeds that background of anxiety and sense of constantly being ill at ease. If you feel that you will never be able to change your way of thinking, no matter how hard you try, you are not alone. Many of us feel that we will never be able to change our mindset or successfully impact lasting change in our lives. It is very easy to become trapped in the cycle of constantly replaying the past or worrying incessantly about the future. The past has occurred, and the fact is that even what happened 5 minutes ago is unchangeable. Therefore, we must learn ways to accept our past and fully embrace our journey, both the negative and positive experiences that have gotten us to where we are today. When I reflect upon my own past, there is not much I would change. There are some things I definitely cringe at, but it was all part of the journey. Meditation and mindfulness help us to look at ourselves through the lens of love, compassion, and non-judgment, and embrace ourselves wholly on our journey through life. Our inner critic and fear-based thinking can keep us stuck. Meditation can help us move past those blocks to find our strength and purpose. And this is really important because we have to focus on our strengths within and move away from that internalized habitual negative narrative that we all have through evolution. A negative attitude and feelings of helplessness can create chronic stress in the body, which affects the body's hormone balance and depletes the brain's chemicals required for happiness. Nothing can aid us in changing this more than meditation and mindfulness, which evidence-based medicine proves. When we are able to shift this can result in longer-term happiness, which impacts our health, our mental health, our physical health, and our emotional well-being. And if we don't, this results in longer-term damaging effects on the immune system. And we'll talk about this much more in our mindfulness group that we have coming up in August, and about how we can move beyond this fear-based consciousness to really embrace happiness and peace from within. We can become so caught up in the rat race of consumerism, buying, and constantly upgrading that we lose sight of why we are actually here. Today's society is so consumer-driven and rooted in capitalism that it is easy to get caught up in wanting more and more, with insatiable desires that will never be met. It's also easy to work just to fulfill these desires and constant wants, rather than enjoy our lives as they are and cherishing the relationships we are blessed with in our lives. We must instead spend more time and energy on meditation and mindfulness practices that leave us feeling much more fulfilled. I've been practicing this in my own life over the past 8 years. And every day is a constant uphill struggle of trying to find the courage to embrace our inner voice. And this was vital in my own personal fear of losing material possessions and my safety net. And that's something that I talk about a lot more if you've read this chapter. Finding balance is key. And going through this process taught me the most valuable lesson, which was to trust and surrender to life without resistance, and to have faith in myself on my path of dharma in this life, which in Sanskrit and yoga philosophy translate to one's path of duty and right conduct. I had to put faith in the knowledge that appropriate opportunities would come, as long as I remained calm and focused on my goals and my personal wider goal of helping people through these ancient practices to find and maintain inner peace. In order to fulfill our true destiny in this life, we must make that soul connection within and open ourselves up to living from a higher state of being. This is when we are able to connect to the power of the universe and things really start to flow. The vibration and thoughts we put out are just as important as the effort we put in. Our thoughts will either reap rewards or end up attracting the opposite to what you seek, as can often be the case in our lives. Where our energy flows, our intention goes. And this is a subtle but very important factor to be aware of. If you are constantly focused on what you don't want in life, that is what you tend to attract. Instead, try shifting your focus to what you do want, and you just may be surprised what starts coming your way, especially when you are connecting to source or spirit from a place of authenticity and true soul calling, without an attachment to specific outcomes led by the ego and that false sense of self. Happiness lies within. If we reflect, we can see that it is often through our most difficult and trying times in life that we are able to embody our spirit and find the strength we need from within. This is what gets us through those darker times. Knowing that there is a divine or universal presence in our lives guiding us forward and taking us toward the light. The difficulty is remembering to look up to see the light, however faint it may be. When we feel as though we are unable to control our continual negative thoughts, in these instances the light can feel very distant, and sometimes we may feel that we are surrounded by complete darkness and that we cannot see the light at all. The point we have to come back to is that if we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for happiness, we will never find it. This is a hard truth we need to stop and come to terms with. If we don't, we can spend our lives going from relationship to relationship and clinging to friends and family to give us the happiness we desire. We can search for this happiness in our relationships, careers, and material possessions, or with travel and experiences. I have done all of the above over the years, and I can tell you from my own learning that all of these things can certainly contribute to our sense of self and offer us temporary happiness, but it does not last. True happiness and peace must come from within, regardless of our external circumstances and situations. Even if we have all of these things, a fulfilling relationship, great job, and financial abundance, we still so often see that people are unhappy and dissatisfied in their lives. Part of really developing that sense of self-worth and self-love from within is spending time in self-care practices and understanding that listening to your own needs is just as important as listening to and trying to accommodate other people's needs and wants. Many of us feel as though we need to do it all and be all things to all people, running ourselves ragged in the process. We constantly make excuses for why we don't make more time to do the things that we really want to in life, putting everybody else's needs and wants above our own. And this is something as women that we really need to deprogram that conditioning that we all received. And we'll be discussing this a lot more in our group in August. And I now want to share a 5-minute journaling practice with you all, which is the exercise for this chapter. So you will need a journal for this practice. And you can start creating more inner peace by validating your own needs and wants and giving yourself the love and acceptance you so eagerly desire. I want you all to make a list of areas in your life where you are feeling unworthy or lacking. Once you have completed your list, I want you to spend 5 minutes in silence, drawing your attention to your breath and focusing on inner contemplation of what has come up from this practice. Then I want you to start to address how you can change these things by journaling how you can transform your actions, thoughts, and words around these issues. Now I want you to journal some areas in your life where you can offer more love, acceptance, and non-judgment to others. This is a way for you to take your practice of mindfulness into your life to serve others. Once you start to be led from within, which this list will help you navigate, you can begin feeling more self-love and peace. Enable yourself to let go of your internal negative narrative and stop the constant comparison to others or the excuses for why your life has not gone the way you wished it to. Start committing to making the changes you journaled in order to let go of the negative chatter and embrace more love and acceptance from within. I hope that you enjoy this month's podcast and this month's intention, and I hope that you will be able to join us for August's mindfulness group. Wishing you all a blessed month ahead.